I generally don't enjoy doing topics about video games because you risk making very broad generalizations about the medium. And here we are, a couple weeks after E3, and many are bemoaning that we have yet another holiday season coming, and there will be another installment of the Call of Duty series, this time titled Infinite Warfare. The series is going boldly where no Call of Duty series has gone before, and that's into space. Yes, I know Call of Duty has had space scenes before, but I really wanted to work that Star Trek joke into this, okay? So, cut me a little slack. And for all the hatred towards the series, I will say that this version does look quite good. I know that's going to anger a lot of people, but I can't help it. It actually does look pretty good. As of this recording, the reveal trailer has over 30 million views and 3 million dislikes. Ha! Yeah, take that, Ghostbusters! The Call of Duty series, most gamers would agree, is one of the most hated series of all time, and yet for some reason it keeps selling in the tens of millions with each release. The closest analog you can draw to it is the Michael Bay Transformers movies. Everybody says they hate them, many go out of their way to tell you how much they hate them, and somehow they still manage to do huge numbers at the box office. And then by the time the next movie or game rolls around, the cycle repeats and everybody has forgotten why they hate it so much. And the question remains, why? Why does this one game outsell everything in its path by such a wide margin? But as much as everyone loves to blame Activision, we have to consider the context in which the games were released. Call of Duty has its roots in the Medal of Honor series. All 22 of Infinity Ward's original staff had worked on Medal of Honor Allied Assault. In 2003, the company along with Activision released the World War II shooter Call of Duty for the PC, and it was a smash hit. But the game wasn't being released in a vacuum, and it's important to remember the greater world in which the game was being released in. In 2003, the world was only 2 years removed from the attacks on the World Trade Centers on September 11, 2001. The biggest selling games of 2003 were Madden 2004 and Pokemon Ruby. And while the Medal of Honor series was popular, Call of Duty quickly supplanted it and became the military shooter of its day. Possibly because of the desire to go back to a simpler time when we knew exactly who our enemies were and what they looked like. In the Second World War, you could point to a map and say, these are the bad guys. They had uniforms and they carried a flag. The broader war on terror was more ambiguous with no defined border or enemy. Prior to and even after 9/11, even though military games were popular, they were really confined to specialty titles. Games like SOCOM, Rainbow Six, and Ghost Recon were more of the precision covert ops style gameplay, and while Operation Flashpoint dealt with larger scale battles in a Cold War setting, it was still very tactical in nature, and very focused in its approach. In 2005, the game Mercenaries Playground of Destruction brought open-world Grand Theft Auto-style gameplay to the genre. And while not necessarily military in theme, Splinter Cell and Metal Gear Solid dealt with the idea of a lone covert operative operating in secret attempting to thwart terrorist threats against the United States. More games in the Call of Duty series would be released on the Xbox 360, the PlayStation 3, and on the PC. But the biggest breakthrough for the series wouldn't come until 2007 with the release of Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. In retrospect, it would be impossible now to ignore the backdrop against which the game was released. In 2007, the United States was deeply entrenched in Iraq, and events were quickly spinning out of control. Then President George W. Bush ordered additional troops deployed to Iraq, and by September of that year, the quote-unquote surge had hit its peak with over 168,000 troops deployed. On November 5, 2007, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare was released. The game took place in several different locations, but one location was in fact an area that resembled the Middle East, with the United States Marine Corps fighting hostile forces there. The game went on to sell 13.5 million copies, and was at the time the best-selling game in the series. The ongoing war in Iraq, the feeling of powerlessness that enveloped many, and the frustration that many felt spilled out into the popular culture of the time, and it was represented by the biggest moment in pop culture of that year, the release of Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. For many, the game may have served as a catharsis. After 4 years, countless lives lost and trillions in treasure burned for apparently nothing, the Iraq War was seemingly unwinnable. Many, it would seem, would attempt to win it via the virtual battlefield. Since the United States has been decreasing its presence in both Iraq and Afghanistan, the Call of Duty series has gotten further and further away from these settings, which is most likely no coincidence. With the Black Ops series being set in the 1960s, dealing with the events before and after the Kennedy assassination, and now Infinite Warfare propelling the series into the future, where mankind has brought its various conflicts into outer space. And this is most likely not by accident. Still, despite the advances in terms of story and gameplay that the series has made, there's this feeling that among the larger gamer cognoscenti that each new game is still just a copy and paste of the previous game. And much like that annoying hipster that everyone knows, gamerdom always professes, if only developers would make good games and then everyone would buy those instead. The reality is that it's not the developer's fault. It's not even the so-called casual gamer's fault. Casual gamers don't even exist because everyone can fall into that definition. The reality is, it's our fault. Yours, mine, everyone's. Nobody's putting a gun to anybody's head forcing them to buy these games. They're buying these games because they want to. The problem isn't with Activision or Infinity Ward or anybody else, the problem is with your fellow gamer, and that they're supposed to be smarter than this and that you have to share your hobby now with the masses, who are deemed unworthy because they play the most popular game in the medium. But you're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to give the audience the benefit of the doubt, and somehow they're supposed to be smarter than that, and one day that they'll see the light. It's supposed to be the fault of the faceless, soulless corporations, who are duping the poor, downtrodden gamers out of their money, while they sit and count their gold like some kind of Dickensian Scrooge McDuckian figure. Activision isn't doing anything evil, they're just responding to demand. And if it wasn't Call of Duty, it would be something else. Just look at how everyone rails against Madden every year, and how quickly everyone turned against Destiny when it became the biggest video game launch in history. Activision is just responding to the marketplace, and the marketplace, like it or not, wants more Call of Duty games. But there is a way to end the cycle, and that's to stop buying them. Buying the game and then saying afterwards, Activision needs to stop making Call of Duty games, doesn't fix things retroactively. The only way Activision will stop making Call of Duty games is if you don't line up at midnight. At least until you find something else to hate. See you next time.
Yeah, no.